Well, we are going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, wine. But it is also going to be about this magazine, the Cellar Door. So right now, via Zoom, I have the lovely Lisa Muirhead from Poise Publications. Okay, I got that one out, Lisa, but that sounded so official. But you know what?
Was.
Yeah, so this is issue number 37, and I believe issue number 38 is going to be released pretty soon, correct?
Yeah, it's coming out the week before Valentine's Day.
Oh, well, how fitting. Okay, so we're going to go to a shot of our beautiful set, decorated with the Cellar Door magazine that comes to our home. And it is, you know what I have to honestly say, Lisa, it is like my guide to the rest of the world.
Thank
It
you.
is definitely about the wine, but for me, I love all the articles of learning about the winemakers, learning about the land where this bottle of wine comes from. And I don't know, like, let's go back to the beginning about your vision and passion to do a magazine like this in Winnipeg.
Yeah, well, it started, I was already working in publishing, but it was academic publishing and it was getting a little dry. And my business partner at the time was also working in academic research, and she had a background in marketing. So we just were drinking wine and had this idea for a wine magazine that had like a local, because every wine magazine, they're great, but you can't get any of the products locally. And the Manitoba market's really insular for wine. So we thought it would be really cool to have a magazine where you read it and you can actually go buy the product. Yeah.
And so yes,
yeah.
so I'm going to let you then share the story on your wonderful relationship with a local wine merchant, formerly known as Banville and Jones, but now is known as Jones and Company, and it is the effervescent Tina Jones too that you have this great relationship. So tell us now and how the whole, I guess, love story with the Cellar Door and Jones and Company began.
Yeah, well, we first thought that we would pitch it to all the private wine stores, but as we kind of did our market research, at first we thought they were all linked. You don't really understand how liquor in the city works until you really see peek behind the curtains, you know? So when we kind of did a little research, we realized it would be easier to work with one wine store at a time. And at the time, even Banville and Jones it was right before it moved to St. Mary's. It was still its little store on Metalwood. And they just had a little Microsoft publisher newsletter that they would send out, but they had already started like wine education programming, and so they had this really great background, and we thought it might be a good partner because we could bring them into developing the content. Because while my background is publishing, I certainly wasn't like a subject expert in wine, so we needed people that knew what they were talking about. So we did the market research and we pitched it to Tina, and she was on board. So we had planned, we're like, well, if it doesn't work with this, then we'll, go to the next person, go to the next person. But yeah, she was on board right away. And she was we had this whole list of questions like, well, if Tina asks this, we'll say this, and, to show all of our great research. And we finished our presentation and she said, yeah, I love it. What's the next step? And we were just like, oh, yeah, we definitely are prepared for that question too. So then, yeah, it took about 8 months for the first issue to come out. And that was just doing a bunch of legwork for marketing. So we sell the ads. That's the revenue stream of the magazine. And Tina and the team at Jones and Company, they do all the distribution.
Yes, so that's great.
Yeah, the idea behind it was a custom magazine, but one that we could show people who was actually reading it. We wanted to partner with a company that would attract really great advertisers. And Tina's been so established in the business community for a long time. It was just really great to partner with someone who's established to say, like, this isn't a fly-by-night project. It's going to be around for a while. And it has been.
I know it has. So, let's look at, we're going to give you a sneak peek, folks, of the next issue. So, lo and behold, who do you have on the cover? But Tina Jones.
General Tina Jones, yeah.
Yes, and kudos and congratulations to her and all of the awards and accolades that she's received. But I guess the article now about Tina, do you want to try and show a different side of Tina too as well? I mean, we all know Tina from being in the wine store, but her personality is far bigger than that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, Tina's always been a part of the magazine. She always has a message at the beginning, and she's obviously on the editorial board. So she's a part of developing those ideas from the beginning for every issue. We'll have a meeting with her and the management team at Banville or at Jones and Company. And
I know. I have a hard
new.
time. I have a hard time. Okay, I mean, they should give us a year, right, Lisa, until it's ingrained, Jones and Company.
So yeah, I mean, she is part of the advisory the whole way through, and obviously she signs off in the end. But I mean, she does so much in the community, and she's on the board of the HSC Foundation. She's got other businesses too, the Rink. She's a partner in Green Carrot. So I mean, she's this amazing person at Jones and Company, has built this amazing company. But I mean, the stuff behind it is also pretty incredible as well. So she was recognized with the Order of Manitoba, and we just wanted to recognize that, kind of pull her out from behind the scenes and recognize that in the issue. And she's usually like it took a little convincing to get her on the cover. So it was nice that we were able to do that and really showcase her. And it's kind of a weird issue because because it's the pandemic. It's a pandemic, so we didn't have a photographer. Our photographer wasn't allowed to work, and and we also really wanted to support the restaurants. So yeah, it was a good issue to kind of have the opportunity to put her on the cover.
Oh, it was so great to see her. And if you even look at your content too, I mean, there's always food. So like you said, acknowledging the restaurants, and oh my goodness, I mean, if we can kind of sidetrack on that too.
Yeah.
Jones and Company is, that's their part of their livelihood, is serving these restaurants. So what were some of the, I guess, challenges, Lisa, when doing this particular issue?
Well, one of the difficulties is our production schedule is 3 months long. So when we started talking about this issue, was October. It was before the big shutdown on November 12th, right? So we even recognized at that time, we're like, well, let's do this issue, but we're gonna have to make a lot of changes last minute. We're gonna have to be really adaptable and flexible, like every business has to be right now. Kind of be willing to change on a dime. So the restaurants were really great. They provided us with photography that we couldn't get ourselves, and we worked with the Manitoba Restaurant Association to get some statistics and just talk to people in the industry to figure out how we can help. What are some practical things we can do? So that's kind of the cornerstone of this issue. And we also wanted to, we have a pretty international focus because of the nature of wine.
Yes.
But, Jones and Company is a local business. I'm a local business. We're all supported. It's such an ecosystem. We really need each other to keep going. So we really wanted to acknowledge the restaurants and what they're going through right now and figure out how we could help, however little we can help.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, I helped out a little bit in this issue too.
You did. You did.
You have a little section called
your
Top
wine
Picks.
Pick, a beautiful cava.
That's how desperate they were, folks. They called me and Kevin because, hey, it's the pandemic, and wow, Jones and Company is one of our, that's like the grocery store these days. I shouldn't be saying that maybe out loud, but I think there's a lot of people. But I mean, and that's another thing. Let's get into the winemakers, but you talked about the education, and since they opened in 1999, we know Gary Hewitt, we know Sylvia Jansen, I love Jill and Sarah Lynn, and all the staff there have been so wonderful, but also so knowledgeable. And that is such a different thing than, we've been in wine stores in other countries, in other cities, and it's not anything like Jones and Company. So maybe you can comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can, because my business is separate from Jones, but just from what I've seen, I think the difference there is that the wine education is really integral to the whole structure of the business, whereas other, employees from other wine stores will come to Jones and Company and take their wine courses. They don't have the infrastructure there. They need to find the courses elsewhere. Whereas because Jones and Company has built that in, if you start working at Jones and Company and you have retail experience, but maybe not as much wine, those opportunities for education are right there, and they really encourage you to take them and make them really accessible to their staff. So, it was really amazing. Like we kind of took it was a bit of a gamble saying, you guys will produce the content and we'll do the publishing, because we didn't know if they could write, and, Gary's got has an academic background, so does Sylvia. And some of them are just, they're really great storytellers, because they go to these places, they travel, they really invest in sending their people to see these wineries, to meet these winemakers. So even if they're not great writers, almost all of them are great storytellers, and they're so passionate about it that even if they're not super strong at writing, I can work with them. My background is editing, so I can work with them and we can bring those stories out. So that education really supports the mandate of the magazine, but the magazine is also educating the community. It's allowing everybody who likes wine, but they don't really know why they like wine or how to put it into words. We're trying to give them that vocabulary.
Well, and you always end up learning something, from the simple, why does it taste like this? Or wine is bad if it smells like this. And all those things that we've learned through the years. But for you personally, though, Lisa, I guess this is a passion project that has, by all means, grown by leaps and bounds. Did you ever dream that, you would be the publisher of this little baby?
No, it was a fun idea that we talked about one night, and I do have to credit my former business partner, Megan Kosminski. A couple days later when we were talking, she was like, okay, we're going to need a business plan. I was like, oh, are we really going to do this? And she's like, yeah, we're going to do this. But I love publishing, I love the storytelling, and I really love working with Jones and Company. My brother's the manager there, and being able to work with him, we're very close, and I love being able to work with him on a fun project like this, so that's really cool to have that element as well.
Oh, wow. And so maybe just explain for the others out there where they can get the Cellar Door, and it is free, correct?
It is free. Yeah, so it's distributed through direct mail. So if you spend a certain amount of money at Banville and Jones, you'll just get it mailed to your house. If you just go in casually every now and again, they always have the issues just on the stand, and you can just take them. So they're free at the store at all times. And they've got the current issue, but they'll have probably 5 or 6 back issues, just because a lot of the material isn't really super timely. It's talking about a wine region and then talking about, so it's not stuff that it ages very well. You can keep the magazine around and read it, and it won't be stuck in a time capsule,
Yeah, and it never goes moldy, well, unless you get it wet with wine. But
I know it will crash with your hard drive.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think, Lisa, this is something that I think Winnipeggers should be proud of. I wanted to do this interview to learn a little bit more about the magazine and how it started, and I just think that it should be something that we share with everybody.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really fun to do, and we're really proud of the fact that we're still around after 13 years. It's pretty awesome.
Well, 13 more, and hopefully we can get out of this pandemic and. And actually maybe travel to some of these areas. And this too, folks, is a great way to even plan your vacation, because we will travel. We will. We just don't know when. But this is an actual great travel guide to base your next trip. So I think that's what I'll do with the next issue. I think. Okay. So it's coming out around Valentine's Day. Go to Jones and Company and pick up your copy of The Cellar Door. Thank you so much, Lisa, for spending this time with us.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I really appreciate it.